First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai Ba'Hashem, Rakakwadash. Yahweh is to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahushai is to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'Hashem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Quadash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. Also want to give double honors to the outer bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Today's video, I wanted to go over this clip that this brother made a video about. And it's pretty much a bugged out Israelite just going off for 4 minutes, speaking nonsense. And he sounds like a real Bati boy, a real Fruit Loop. But ultimately, I'm going to just get straight to it. I'm going to play the video and just stop, throughout the video, pull out some scriptures going into points where he's just completely wrong, and bring out that true edification. So hopefully this is edifying.
So I just went back and forth with a camp here in Atlanta, and it's clear we're not dealing with the same God. If it wasn't clear before, and it was clear before, but it's really clear now. I guess because the Most High has increased my wisdom and knowledge, right? To where now, I already knew this, but it's crystal clear now. They don't work for us. It's crystal clear. And we was predominantly talking about Jacob's trouble. And I'm like, hey, we're out of Jacob's trouble. Have we not been through trouble for the past 1,000 years? And their energy, the way how they were communicating, it was like, no, we're going to go through Jacob's trouble. This is going to happen to us. This is going to happen to us. This is going to happen to us. And their energy was kind of like they want it to happen. Kind of like they HATE us like Esau. So their energy was like one of the Gentile nations and the Edomites. I'm like, dude, we've been through Jacob's trouble. They were just it was like the weirdest thing, because they were just firm on us going through Jacob's trouble. It was gonna happen, trouble. I'm like, if that's what y'all want to believe, you know what I mean? But I mean, for the remnant within the remnant.
Right, and I'm gonna stop it right there first. So he came across a camp. I don't know what group exactly it would be he talked to, but he said that this push was group was pushing that, Jacob's trouble is coming and we all got to go through it. And this guy said, we already been through Jacob's trouble. And that's not true at all. The reason it's not true is because let's go and read, Jacob's trouble, where the scriptures talk about that. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 5. It says, for thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Right, so Jeremiah is asking, hey, if men have children, right, if men travail with child, obviously the answer is no. So he said, why do I see, every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness? Right, so why do I see all these men, acting like pregnant women? He says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay, and that's the point, is that, when you go into the context of Jacob's trouble is going to be a time like never before seen. As it says, none is like it. Okay, and we haven't experienced that yet. Okay, yeah, what happened 200 years ago was absolutely terrible, slavery under these Edomites. But, hey, what's coming in the future is going to be 10 times worse than that slavery. It's going to be worse than anything human history has ever seen. So, no, Jacob's trouble hasn't came yet. Let's actually go into Daniel chapter 12. And actually, before I go there, one last part in that verse that is important. It says, at last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay, and that's why, you got brothers pushing Jacob's trouble so hard. Because the faster all this goes down, this society crumbles, is the faster the kingdom of heaven is established on earth. Right, we got to go through the difficult path in order to get to the kingdom. Right, you can actually read that in second Esdras. I think it's first Esdras chapter 2. Just search it up. Second Esdras chapter 7 and verse 3 says, "And I said, Speak on, my God. Then said he unto me, The sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case that the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad?" Right? And this is all symbolic talk about, hey, we got to go through the narrow, okay, the straight path, the path of difficulty, in order to get to the broad, the kingdom of heaven. Okay, and it says it in a different way here. It says, there's also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water. And only one path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive his inheritance? And I said, It is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, Even so also is Israel's portion. Okay, and this pretty much summarizes, the counter argument to this guy's point, right? Because this guy's pushing we already went through Jacob's trouble, and why do you want bad things to happen, right? These guys are wishing a bad upon us. They're the same as Esau, Edom. No. As it says right here, if this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? Right? So the only way to make it to the kingdom of heaven is to go through that dangerous path. Okay, go through Jacob's trouble. And it says that it says a narrow path, that on the left you have water, on the left fire, and only one man can cross at a time. And that's symbolic, because that one man crossing at a time shows you that, hey, you're in this for yourself at the end of the day. Okay, you can't save your brother or your sister. You got to save your own self first. So that's why we're always pushing Jacob's trouble. But let's keep listening.
The 1%, like, it's over. And I told them, I'm like, what it seems as if, like, you guys are out here just trying to use tactics of the devil and the Gentile nations, white TPPO, right? It's all energy harvesting. It's keeping you in fear, keeping you in angst, keeping you anxiety, keeping you in this whole notion that you got to prepare and you got to do this because Jacob's trouble is going to happen and this is going to happen, right? So it's just all so they can steal your energy, Bubs. You know what I mean?
Right, and that one thing he said right there, how you got to prepare, right? And that's straight facts, right? We do have to prepare spiritually for what's coming, right? Yahushua said himself, right? Going into the parable of, my phone doesn't seem to be working. There we go. Yahushua said it himself when you go into the parable, okay, of the city or the house that was built upon rock and the house that was built upon sand. So Matthew chapter 7 and verse 24 says, Therefore whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Okay, and, this is exactly what I was saying. Okay, you got to prepare. Okay, when it's talking about the man that built his house upon a rock, okay, that's going into a man, preparing himself spiritually. Okay, a man being in that righteous frequency, seeking after Yahushua. Yahushua is that rock. He is the cornerstone. So, preparing yourself spiritually. Right? Scriptures talk about how, we're supposed to be on fire for this thing. Well, you can't be lukewarm. Okay, you got to be either on fire or not in this at all. And, part of the attributes of being on fire is that you're going to pray, you're going to fast, you're going to read, okay, you're going to watch videos, you're going to congregate, all those things. And all those things, further solidify your foundation. So yes, we do got to prepare. Right, another one is in 2nd Esdras, chapter 16 and verse 40. It says, "O my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth." Right? So, this is talking about the end times. When you go read 2nd Esdras 15 and 2nd Esdras 16, it's all future end time prophecy. And it says we're supposed to be making ready to thy battle, right? This battle, because at the end of the day, who is this for? Jacob's trouble, okay? This is going to be the great test. So we're supposed to be getting ready for the great test, right? It's the same as, in all these education systems. Okay, you're not going to just show up to a test you really want to pass without studying, without being in class, taking notes, reviewing. No, you're going to make sure that that same night before, you're up studying. Okay, for a month, a week before, you've been studying. You've been practicing what you need to know. So when that test day comes, you pass with flying colors. And something I always think of is, you don't have to get a perfect score to pass. Okay, and normally in school, you pass with a C, which is roughly a 70%. And with that, you're straight chilling. You could pass all college courses with a C. And that's spiritual because in this walk, it's the same way. Okay, we're not gonna pass we're not gonna pass this coming test with flying colors. Every single one of us has fallen, many times, have sinned. So already, that deducts points. So the point is you at least want to pass. Okay, you want to at least get that C, that 70%. So what's the saying? Aim for the stars, or shoot for the moon. Aim for the stars, shoot for the moon. Roughly something like that. You know what I'm trying to say. But one more time, "O my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth." Right? So in that day, we're going to have to be like pilgrims, which pretty much goes into migrating. Right? It's going to be exactly and even worse than these purge movies. Okay, where you're moving over here and something pops up and you just got to keep it pushing because you can't go over there anymore. And you come across another threat. You got to keep pushing and moving and moving. Right? It's going to be literally an action-packed movie. And the most beautiful thing is that, every single elect member is going to be like your life. Okay, your whatever you go through in Jacob's trouble is literally going to be a blockbuster movie. And you are going to be the main character. Right? Because the amount of trials the Lord is going to put us through, and the amount of ways that he's going to deliver you out of those trials is literally going to be, unbelievable. Yahweh Shai said that he's going to work a work in our day that even if he told us, we're not going to be able to believe it. Right? So, shit's about to get hectic. And yes, you got to prepare. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
So it's crystal clear. And don't get me wrong, it was clear to me before. It was very clear to me before that these brothers on the corner, were set up by the GOV and the synagogue of Satan, the FAKE-ish, to be a stumbling block to the awakening. And when I was done communicating with them, the sister, I guess she was in the cut, she had her.
That's another thing he just said. He says that we're set up by the government, right? And that makes no sense, right? Maybe some of these other camps, such as IUIC, Sakari, they could be potential setups. But when it comes to GMS, there's no way in hell, okay, Apostle Tahar, Apostle Gabar, the top men, the brothers following in that same doctrine, there's no way, this is all set up. Because here it is, every single brother for at least, 40 years has been talking about Esau Edom's empire is going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles by the hand of Yahweh Shai. Okay, and constantly pushing that vibration that we want this kingdom to fall. So how in hell, will we be set up when we're talking about we want this place to fall? It makes no sense. But let's keep going.
She had Jesus all over her car, called for prayer all over her car and stuff like that. And she was like, yeah, I guess she thought I was a Christian, right? I thought she was a black, I guess she thought I was a black Christian, like confronting the Israelites on the corner. And I said, hold on, sister, no, let me stop you. I'm like, no, they're absolutely right about us being the people. Make no mistake about that, right?
And just watching this video, something that makes me, looking at this guy and analyzing what ultimately happened with this guy is he stumbled, right? This guy was out here talking about, stumbling blocks, and he ultimately, stumbled upon some points. Because, the Bible is made, or the scriptures, the doctrine is made in a way that, not everybody's supposed to get it. This is Romans chapter 11 and verse 7. It says, "What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. According as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day." Right? So going into how, the Most High has an elect. Okay, he has certain people out here that are meant to get it. But the rest, are going to be blinded. Okay, and ultimately, it's his will that he has them blinded. It says, "And David saith, Let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block, and a recompense unto them." Right, and that table is going into this truth. Right, the knowledge, the Bible. Okay, it says that it is a snare, a trap, and a stumbling block. Okay, because this Bible, like I said, is codified in a way that there are certain points that are very difficult to understand if you just, look at it at face value. You really have to get the precepts together to get the proper understanding. And, if you don't do that, ultimately you're going to stumble. Like, for example, when it talks about, Mary being a virgin, if you were to look at that face value, you would think, oh, Mary was a virgin, right? It literally says she was a virgin, in the English. But that's what I'm saying is that's face value, right? When you go into the actual Hebrew word that it would use, the Hebrew word, I believe, is Alma, which just means a young woman of marriageable age. So that's all it was saying, is that Mary, a young woman of marriageable age, was going to have a son. And, that's the understanding. So that's part of a stumbling block. Okay, it's made that way specifically so that the elect get it and the rest get sifted. And ultimately, this guy, he stumbled upon the fact that, all nations can't get it. And he stumbled upon the fact that, hard times are coming. He thinks it's going to be easy. It's going to be a breeze. Jacob's trouble is going to be nothing. He said we already went through Jacob's trouble. This guy is going to have a hell of a rude awakening. But one thing also came to mind was the fact that, the scriptures talk about how you have to eat the little roll. Let's get that in Revelation chapter 9. Revelation, I think it's, Revelation chapter 10. In verse 9 it says, "And I went unto the angel and said unto him, Give me the little book. And he said unto me, Take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey, and as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter." Okay, and ultimately, the little book is going into the Bible. Okay, when it talks about how you have to eat it, it goes into how you have to digest the information, right? You have to read the entire Bible first. Or you have to learn about it. You have to learn the breakdowns and everything, right? And it says that at first, it's sweet in your mouth, right? When you first start learning, it's in your mouth, it's sweet. You hear that you're an Israelite. You hear that, you're going to have the kingdom. You're going to be immortal. All these things are sweet. But once you start, learning about what's really coming soon in the future, the hard times, you learn about the curses, you learn, and you start catching hell in your own life, right? Then it gets bitter, right? That's when it's in your stomach, right? You've been more time in this thing, dealing with Yahweh Shai ultimately. And ultimately, it seems like this guy, once he started digesting, that little book, he vomited that shit out, right? That's what it seems that happened here, is that he started eating the book and he ultimately spit it back out. It was too bitter for him. Okay, he was ultimately not cut. Okay, not cut for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Because the nonsense that this guy is talking, the elect wouldn't be talking this way. Wouldn't be speaking that false doctrine. So, ultimately, he got rejected by the Lord. And the Lord said, these types of people, call them reprobate silver. Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 30, reprobate silver shall men call them, because Yahweh hath rejected them. Right? And reprobate goes into fake. Okay? What's that other word? Fake. Damn, it was right on the tip of my tongue. Fake. Phony. It's right there. Whatever, but fake silver is what people are going to call these types of people. 2/3 bug outs. So, let's keep going. Damn.
It
bothers me. I forgot that word.
And they were set up by our enemies to be a stumbling block to the awakening. So, you shy away from learning who you really are. So, I had to affirm that to her, right? Because it's so, I just praise the Most High because it's so clear. It's like when the Most High gives you the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and it's like it's clear as day for you. But you see, like, you're able to have a vantage point and see that, one, it's not clear as day to everybody. And then you see how some people got some aspects of it, but they don't got the whole story, right? It's like the Israelites in the corner. They got the part that we're the Israelites, but they don't got the whole story. The Christians, they got that. They got the Jesus part, right? But they don't got the whole story. And then you're looking like, damn, the Most High really gave me the wisdom to be able to piece everything together and filter through all of the LIEs. And I praise him for that. Black Americans are the real children of Israel, the real Jews, the real indigenous Americans from the same tribe as Jesus Christ, or Yahushua, or Yahushua, or Yeshaya, or Yeshua, the same Black American man. All praise to the Most High.
Right, and the fact that he started spewing out all those other false names at the end shows you he's bugged out. Right, because Yahweh, let's just call him by the Son of God. The Son of God has one name, and it ain't no Yeshua, it ain't no Yehoshua, it ain't none of that. It's Yahweh Shai. Okay, the name of the Heavenly Father is not no Yahweh, no Yah. Okay, Yehovah. It's Yahweh. So, make up your mind on which one it is. He literally said 5 names there at the end. But one thing he said, which is just insane when you think about it, is he said the Christians, they got the Jesus part right, but they don't got the rest. And the Israelites, they got the people right, but they don't got the rest. And he said, the Most High has blessed me with all the wisdom, and now I got it, and I understand the real truth. Now, what I want to say is, what are the chances? Or first, let's say this. If he's got the truth, and this is a real prophet right here, prophet of the Lord, okay, one of the 144,000, then where are the other 144,000 speaking the same doctrine that he's speaking, right? Because there's supposed to be 144,000 men that are speaking the same thing nonstop, 24/7, okay, and are pushing it fervently. So where are the other men that have the same doctrine he has? That's the first point. And second is, what are the chances that this guy is the one that now has it, right? All of a sudden, the Most High has blessed this guy with the revelation. And, the funniest thing is that, where you always got to think, where did these guys learn this from? And the answer is probably one of the top men, right? The One West camps. So if this guy learned, probably from Apostle Tahar, Apostle Gabar, the top men, GMS, then what makes him think that, how do I explain that? I can't break that down properly right now, but it just doesn't make sense what he's saying. I'll leave it there. So ultimately a bug out, right? And another ninja trying to mix the truth with the devil religions, and just goes to show you how unwise, wicked 2/3 are thinking the truth is a joke. He gotta end being the ones that will be crying and trying to ask Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to save him when his fear cometh. Right, and that guy has, a Bati boy accent. That's all I'm gonna say. As you can tell that, he didn't have a father in the household, right? He was raised by a single black woman. So, hey, hopefully this is edifying. Without give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Wakakwadash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.